Okay, we are on. Welcome to my YouTube channel. This is a reading from the Christian Directory under the section Directions for Declining or Backsliding Christians and About Perseverance. This is very important because, and I'm speaking personally as a Christian man, I struggle and sometimes I face seasons of backsliding. And if you have been a Christian enough, you have been through a season of backsliding as well. I think it's something that is commonplace for Christians. But how I fight my tendency to fall into sin is by educating myself and increasing my wisdom so that I don't slip and fall into a season of sin. And this is one of them. This is very informative. And as you listen to the reading, you will see for yourself. Richard Baxter. Directions for Declining or Backsliding Christians and About Perseverance. The case of the backslider is so terrible, and yet the mistake of many Christians so common in thinking unjustly that they are backsliders, that the subject must be handled with the greater care. And when I have first given some directions for the cure, I shall next give some to others for prevention of so sad a state. Direction 1. Understand well wherein backsliding doth consist, the sorts and the degrees of it, that so you may be the more certainly and exactly discern whether it be indeed your case or not. To this end, I shall here open to you 1. The several sorts of backsliders. 2. The several steps or degrees of backsliding. And 3. The signs of it. 1. There are in general 3 sorts of backsliders, such as decline from the truth by the error of their understanding. 2. Such as turn from the goodness of God and holiness by the corruption of their will and affections. 3. Such as turn from the obedience of God and an upright conversation by the sinfulness of their lives. The first sort containeth in it 1. Such as decline to infidelity from faith and doubt of the truth of the Word of God. 2. Such as decline only to error about the meaning of the Scriptures, though they doubt not of the truth of them. This corruption, or rather corrupted judgment, will presently corrupt both heart and life. The second sort Backslider in heart containeth one, such as only lose their affections to good, their complacency and desire, and lose their averseness and zeal against sin. Two, and such as lose the very resolution of the will also, and grow unresolved what to do, if not resolved to do evil, and to omit that which is good. The third sort, backslider in life. So just to summarize a little bit, the first one is backslider in truth, one who no longer believes the truth of God's word. The second one is backslider in heart. And the third one is backslider in life. The third one goes like this: those that fall from duty toward God or man, and those that fall into positive sins and turn to sensuality in voluptuousness, worldliness, or pride. Backsliders in judgment do sometimes fall by slow degrees, and sometimes suddenly at once. Those that fall by degrees, do some of them begin in the failing of the understanding, but most of them begin at the failing or falseness of the heart, and the corruptness will corrupteth the understanding. Now, the second section, the method of falling into heresy or sects. Those that fall by degrees through the failing of the understanding are those simple souls that never were well grounded in the truth, and some of them reason themselves into error or unbelief, and others of them, which is most usual, are led into it by the cunning and diligence of seducers. And for the degrees, they grow first to doubt of some arguments which formerly seemed valid to them, and then they doubt of the truth itself, or else they hear some argument from a seducer, which, through their own weakness, they are unable to answer, and then they yield to it, as thinking that it is right, because they see not what is to be said against it, and know not what others know to the contrary, nor how easily another can refute it. When once they are brought into suspicion of one point which they formerly held, they quickly suspect all the rest, grow into a suspicion and disaffection to the persons whom they did before most highly value. And then they grow into a high esteem of the persons and party that deceived them, and think that they are wiser in one thing, are wiser in the rest. They think that they that are wiser in one thing are wiser in the rest, and so are prepared to receive all the errors which follow that one which they first received. And next, they embody with the sect that seduced them and separate from the sober, united part of the church, and so they grow to a zealous importunity for the increase of their party, and to lose their charity to those that are against their way, and to corrupt their morals in thinking all dishonestly lawful, which seemed necessary to promote to interest of their sect, which they think is the interest of the truth and of God. And at last, it is like they will grow weary of that sect, and hearken to another and another, till in the end they come to one of these periods, either to settle in popery as the easiest religion, and being taken with their pretense of antiquity, stability, unity, and universality, or else to turn to atheism or infidelity, and take all religion for a mere deceit, or else, if they retained an honest heart in their former wanderings, God showeth them their folly, and bringeth them back to unity and charity, and maketh them see the vanity of those reasonings which before seduced them, and which once they thought were some spiritual celestial light. This is the common course of error, when the understanding is the most notable cause. But sometimes a deceiver prevaileth with them on a sudden, by such false appearances of truth which they are unable to confute. But still an ill-prepared, unfurnished mind is the chiefest cause. But to those whose judgments are conquered by the perverse inclination of their wills, they are usually carnal, worldly hypocrites, who never conquered the fleshly mind and interests, nor overcame the world, nor ever were acquainted with the heavenly nature and life, nor with the power of divine love. And these, having made a change of their profession, through the mere conviction of their understandings, and benefit of education or government, or the advantages of religion in the country where they live, without a renewed holy heart, the bias of their hearts doth easily prevail against the light of their understandings. And because they would fain have those doctrines to be true, which save them from sufferings or give them liberty for a fleshly, ambitious, worldly life, therefore they do not agrees prevail. Therefore they do by degrees prevail with their understanding to receive them. 2. Backsliders in heart do fall by diverse degrees and means, for Satan's methods are not always the same. Some of them fall through the corruption of their judgments, for every error hath much influence on the heart. Some are tempted suddenly into some gross or sensual sin, and some the error of their lives call away their hearts from God. But not but that some sin of the heart or will doth still go first, but yet the extraordinary declensions and pravity of the heart may sometimes be caused by the errors of the judgment or the life. But sometimes the beginning and progress is almost adversible. Sometimes the beginning and progress is almost observable in the appetite and the will itself, and here the inclination to evil, that is, to sensual or carnal good, and the declining from truth, spiritual good, do almost I gotta read that again. I'm sorry. Bring this down. All right, here we go. And here the inclining to evil, that is the sensual or carnal good, and the declining from true spiritual good, do almost always go together. And it is most usual by this method and by these degrees. 1. The devil usually beginneth with the fantasy and appetite, and representeth some worldly, fleshly thing as very pleasant and desirable. 2. Next, that he causeth his complacency to entice the thoughts, so that they are much and often in thinking on this pleasure. 3. Next, that the will is drawn into a liking of it, and he wisheth he might enjoy it, whether it be riches or pleasant dwellings or pleasant company or pleasant meats or drinks, or fleshly accommodations or apparel or honor or command or ease or lust or sports and recreation or whatever else. 4. Next, that the understanding is drawn into the design, and is casting and contriving how it may be obtained. And all lawful means are first considered, of that, if possible, the business might be accomplished without the hazard of the soul. Next to that, endeavors are used to that end by such means as are supposed lawful, and the conscience quieted with the conceit of the harmlessness and security. 6. By this time the man is engaged in his carnal cause and course, and so the difficulty of returning is increased, and the inclination of the heart groweth stronger to the sensual pleasure than before. 7. And then he is drawn to prosecute his design by any means, how sinful soever, if it be possible, making himself believe by some reasonings or other that all is lawful still, or if the case be too palpable to be so cloaked, conscience at last is cast asleep and seared and stupefied, that it may be silent under all, till either grace or vengeance awake the sinner, and make him amazed at his madness and stupidity. Rather. This is the most usual method of the heart's relapse to positive evil. Positive evil. This one held me a little bit. Let me just highlight right here. This is amazing. Richard Baxter outlines the entire process of falling into sin just now. It reaches to the point where your conscience is seared, it's cloaked, your conscience falls asleep. And all of this remains the same until either grace or vengeance awakens the sinner. God's grace awakens you, or God's discipline awakens you. And it makes you amazed at your madness and stupidity. I'm not gonna lie, this happened to me in my life where I fell into sin and I got so accustomed to it that it was normal. And then something happened and I'm like, what am I doing? What am I doing, Lord? This is wicked. This is evil. How dare I? And maybe you can relate to this. I don't know. But I can. By God's grace, I'm a Christian. I'm a man of God. I'm not living in sin. But it's all because of His grace. All of it. The rest of it reads, "And by such degrees doth the heart decline from the love of God and goodness, as 1. The thoughts are diverted to some carnal vanity that is overloved, and the thoughts of God are seldomer and shorter that they were wont to be. 2. And at the same time, the thoughts of God do grow less serious and pleasing, and more dead and lifeless. 3. And then the means which should kindle love are used with more dullness and remissness and indifferency. 4. And then conscience being galded with the guilt of willful omissions and commissions, being acquainted with the fleshly designs of the heart, doth raise a secret fear of God's displeasure. And this being not strong enough to refrain the man from sin, doth make his sin greater, and maketh him very backward to draw near to God. Or seriously, to think of Him. Seriously, to think of Him, or call upon Him, and turn love into terror and aversion. 5. And if God do not stop and recover the sinner, He will next grow quite weary of God, and out of love with a holy life, and change him for his worldly, fleshly pleasures. 6. And next that he will entertain some infidel, or atheistical, or libertine doctrine, which may quiet him in his course of sin by justifying it, and will conform his judgment to his heart. And next, it's number 7, and next that he will hate God and his ways and servants, and turn a persecutor of them, till vengeance lay him in hell, where pain and dispertation, not pain and dispertation, where pain and desperation will increase his hatred. But his fleshly pleasure and malicious persecution shall be forever at an end.
Sometimes I don't want to wake up.
The next one, backsliders in life and practice do recover the first infection at the heart, and the life declineth no further than the heart declineth. But yet I distinguish this sort from the other. as the effect from the cause, and the rather because some few do much decline in heart, that yet some to keep, that yet seem to keep much blamelessness of life in the eye of men. And it is usually done by these degrees. All right, everybody, I'm done for now.
Wake up.
I am absolutely tired. After I left the gym, work today, I went to a CrossFit gym and I did a very difficult workout. Very difficult workout, and I'm tired. Right now it is 12:40. I have not been posting as I think I should, because when I get home from work, I'm tired. Sometimes I can't even do Bible study with my family, but we don't go an entire week without having Bible study, and that's good. Good morning, everyone. Right now it's 12:40. Thank you all for watching. Thank you for listening. I'm not going to read the whole thing. Tomorrow I'm going to read this part right here. In the man's backsliding into positive sin, as sensuality or worldliness, the heart being prepared as before. That's what I'm going to start with tomorrow. And I'm going to post it. If I can only read 2 paragraphs, I'm going to read it and post it, because it's needed. It's needed. God bless you all. Thank you for watching. Thank you for sharing. And thank you for, all the subscribers I have who have been there from the beginning. Thank you so much for staying a subscriber and for gracing me with your time. God bless you. Keep me in your prayers as I do the same for you.